I'm Ben Mears, and I'm the community manager with SideFX Software. Today I'm talking to Mike Murdock, an indie game developer. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing all right.
Okay, so my first question, when did you start playing video games? What are some of your all-time favorite games?
I kind of feel like I've always been playing video games. The first time, went over to a friend's house, played the Nintendo, but my brother's got a Sega Genesis, and that's when it came home for me. And we played too many video games, and so my mom would hide the Genesis so that we had to stop playing. But yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, Sunset Riders, some of my favorite games from that era.
That's pretty funny because I remember my parents hiding the Super Nintendo at certain times. Okay, so how did you first get started making games, like game development? You know, what was your beginning in that?
Right, so I have a background in advertising, motion graphics, and film effects. And when I kind of got tired of doing a lot of beer commercials, I decided, let's see what else is out there. I'm interested in the storytelling side and more game design side of things. So I did my master's at USC Film, and they have this interactive media and games program that was like exactly what I needed. It was so much fun, and they have a very iterative prototyping kind of program there, and I got to study under like Richard LaMarchand, who is the lead designer of Uncharted, and Tracy Fullerton, who designed theme parks for Disney. So it was an amazing opportunity there.
And so your game is Nimbus Nights. What can you tell us about Nimbus Nights?
So Nimbus Nights is a virtual reality game, and it uses hand-tracked controllers, which means you're holding either the Oculus Touch controllers or the HTC Vive controllers in your hands, and you can really reach into this world. The type of game it is a little bit like Lemmings meets Risk on floating sky islands, and it's this really great example of wish fulfillment. Like, you can reach in and play with your toys as if they're real, and they can respond back to you. So we've been having a really fun time figuring out what virtual reality game design looks like and how we can deliver this amazing experience to our players.
Okay, and can you tell me about the tools you're using to make the game?
Absolutely. So we've been using Houdini as the backbone for all our level design. That allows us to iterate really fast in context. So one of the things that we need for our game are a ton of floating islands. And I looked at the traditional art pipeline. Like, I originally started sculpting these by hand in programs like ZBrush and Maya, and it just took too long to get to the point where I can see it in the game engine. So what I looked at was, how can I proceduralize this and move to Houdini so that if I make the recipe for one island, now I can crank out as many as I want very quickly.
And you're using Unity to make the game. How's that been?
Unity's been awesome. My lead engineer actually worked for Unity developing tools, so we have some of the best tools in our editor to make the game design really fast. And then on the lighting and shading side, we've been using Alloy shaders, physically based shaders. They're amazing. In virtual reality game design, making things as realistic on the lighting and shading is one of those things that just people's brains accept, like, yep, this is real. And part of that is physically plausible shaders.
And you're also using Houdini Engine to connect Houdini and Unity together. So can you tell us a little bit about that workflow and how it's been for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I'm interested in closing that iteration loop so that I don't have to start in one program and then do what I want there and then move it to the game engine and see if that works, and if it doesn't, go back to the other program and rinse and repeat. So I've been poking at Houdini Engine lately, and the awesome thing about that is if I have a tool that I like, for example, this island maker, I can expose the parameters that I need to make that directly in Unity, the game engine. So then I can just drag around the points and make the islands in the game engine, hit the play button, and instantly I'm in that world and I can see it in context. And what was amazing about that, I'm learning, I can build like UV unwrapping directly into my tool, procedural noise, so I can get the look that I want without ever leaving the game engine.
And why did you choose to make a VR game? Where do you see VR going?
Great question. I kind of had to make a VR game. When I was studying at USC Film, VR was kind of making that transition from research grade stuff to consumer grade. So they have this amazing lab there run by a guy named Mark Bolus, who's been doing VR research for his whole career. He's one of the smartest guys in VR, and a lot of this research and the stuff that we have now is because of him. And so I got to play with all the cool toys they were making at his lab, the MXR lab. And just saw, like, yes, this is the future. What really made me have to work in VR is the first time that I got to build my own world and import it into this virtual reality system and walk around something that I built. And that was the moment of, like, yes, this is so satisfying to make things in VR where I get to build the world while I'm inside of it, and then listen to the world and see what it needs next. So it's just a very satisfying way to make content.
Does Nimbus Nights have a release date yet? Like, when will people be able to play it? And where can they get it once it's out?
Yes, it does. We're shooting for a fall release. Holiday season is huge for games, and we hope to have the game ready for then. And you're going to be able to play it on the Oculus Rift with the touch controllers and the HTC Vive. And we're looking at Sony PSVR as well.
Okay, what does procedural mean to you?
Procedural for me it's all about the process. So if I can take very simple steps to get the thing that I want, then I can rinse and repeat. Like I said, I can make as many as I want. So a key example for our game was I need to make islands. Okay, what is the core of making islands? It's this happens, then this happens, then this happens. So I can make a recipe out of that, and if I change one ingredient at the beginning, for example, the profile of the island, how the shape of it is, then everything else flows down, and the recipe just allows me to generate a ton of these islands super fast.
That's great, Mike. Thanks for talking to us about Nimbus Nights. I'm really looking forward to playing it, and have a good rest of your GDC.
Thank you. You too.